What's going on, everybody? Back at the Harsh Truth. Today we're going to be talking about Cameron versus Jenkins, the train wreck that is the DCEU, and September movie releases. So stick around. We're going to talk about some cool stuff. So by now everybody knows what James Cameron said about Wonder Woman and Patty Jenkins. Right. What's your take on it, first off?
He kind of hit the nail on the head, but in the wrong reality. This, as far as I'm concerned, the movie was great. Everything about the movie was great. We're looking at a movie that's set in the 1940s. If it was, if they played it out like it was set in 2017, he would have had nothing to complain about. There's no objectification. There's no anything but a strong female lead, and I think he just had a problem with that. He wants to be in everybody's. He wants to be in everybody's eyes at this point in time. He wants to be, writer director of Terminator like he was 20 years ago. No, it's not a step backwards. He's saying Hollywood's taking a big step backwards with this movie because we're objectifying women, and I just don't see it. I don't at all.
I think it was. I thought at first that a lot of it was kind of a subtle sexism that he was trying to put forward, and then I realized after doing a little bit of research that while that might still be a part of it, I think it more has to do with his really just not good standing in director world right now. I mean, he hasn't done anything other than Avatar since Titanic. And going back and look at it, he did Titanic in 1977. He's done a slew of documentaries between then and Avatar. He did one episode of Dark Angel in 2002. So between 1997 and 2009, he did nothing big until Avatar. And then after Avatar, he did Toruk: The First Flight, which I think was a Avatar: The Last Airbender anime kind of thing. It was a cartoon, as I recall. And then he's done a couple more documentaries. He's had one that sounds interesting called The Last Train from Hiroshima that got delayed. It actually sounds like a really good movie. He's got something announced called The Informist. And then past that, he's got nothing but Avatar. So from 1997 to today, he's done 2 big movies.
Yeah. The
rest of it has been documentaries, a total of 5 people have watched. Because there's only so many times you can go dive the Titanic and have that be fun to watch.
Right.
I mean, it seems like every 6 or 8 months he takes a submarine down there with a camera and says, "Hey, everybody, I'm down here in the ocean looking at Titanic." We know, James.
We know what you're doing.
You did it in 1997 in a pretty awesome way. You can't keep going back to the well like that.
Right.
Now, I think what it is, it's a little bit of bitterness. He sees Patty Jenkins at the top of the director game right now, where he once was back in the 80s with Terminator, in the late 80s, early 90s with things like The Abyss and things like that. I think he used to be there. He sees Patty Jenkins there now, so he's simply jealous. He's jealous at a professional level, if no other way. And you said earlier that when Wonder Woman was based it was World War I, so it was in the
was it? No, pretty sure it was 2.
No, it was World War I. Pretty sure it was World War I, but even
no,
then,
it was Germans.
From the 20s to 40s, and you said it, women were objectified.
Right.
so it wasn't so much that they were objectifying Wonder Woman or Gal Gadot. It's just that women were seen and treated that way. Now, I thought they toned it down a little bit as to what it probably really was back in that time.
Most definitely.
But Wonder Woman herself didn't play to that. She was the one that was like, how do I fight in this dress, and so on and so on. So while they objectified women, she had kind of broken away from that. I think that's what led to Patty Jenkins saying what she said about, you don't have that a woman doesn't have to fit into this box to be a strong female character.
And she's absolutely right.
That the whole point of being a strong female character is that you can be anything you want, in any time that you want, at any level that you want, and there's not really anything that a man or anybody else can do about it. And that's what Wonder Woman is. She was kind of like Princess Leia. One of the nice things about Princess Leia is she didn't fit into that typical, like, you look back at all the big heroines of movies like Ripley or Sarah Connor or people like that. They were masculine sized. They were, there was a toughness that made them almost male characters.
Right.
But Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher, in the way she played it, she could be the beautiful princess, giving the medals to the guys at the end of the movie and all that, and be very elegant and regal. And then 3 seconds later, when necessary, pick up a blaster and take out a couple of stormtroopers.
Right.
And I think that that's what Wonder Woman does as well. She can put on the dress, be Diana Prince, walk around this fancy ball.
Well,
but 5 seconds later, walk around with a sword behind her, getting ready to whack down some Nazi guy. So I think it's just a lot of professional jealousy more than anything.
I fully agree with you as far as Patty Jenkins is concerned with it too. She's not wrong at all. You can't just fit it in a box anymore. I mean, you got to look at it like this. This is the first female lead superhero movie in pretty much ever that's had as much success as this. This movie had as much success, if not more success, than a male lead acting superhero movie. And in this day and age where a new superhero movie is coming out every 5 months, and it did pretty good for itself, at some point James has to figure out that he can't just be bitter about it. It's going to do good, and it's going to continue to do good, and he can say what he wants to about it, and they're just going to be like, okay, James, have a nice day.
I think the bottom line is, James, if you want to go do better, go do better. Stop playing the game from the sideline. Go make a movie. Just, if you want to be at the top of the director game, you've got to make movies, not documentaries that push your environmentalist nonsense down our throats. It just gets tired after a while.
Alternatively, you could just make another Titanic, but we've seen that before.
Make a sequel. Make a Titanic sequel. I'm sure you can come up with something good. I'm sure you can tie it into Avatar and do a shared universe. Okay, we'll stick with the DCEU, and wow, boy, so much stuff to talk about with the DCEU. Wonder Woman is... I really want Wonder Woman to be DC riding the ship as far as their entertainment universe is concerned.
Yeah.
Because the movie was fantastic in a lot of ways. Honestly, I think it was every bit as good as the first Captain America movie. And I think that should be what they use as like the tipping off point to push their universe down the right path.
Right.
It doesn't appear to be going that way.
No, it does not.
There's still a ton of speculation and worry about Justice League, whether it's going to be any good. Some reports, confirmed or unconfirmed, have come out saying that screenings, people are walking out saying that the movie's horrible, that they're under extensive reshoots, that Joss Whedon, who came in to take over for Zack Snyder after he experienced that family tragedy, has kind of rearranged and reconnoitered a lot of the movie. People aren't sure of Ben Affleck's future in the franchise. His brother's saying he wants out. He's saying he wants to stay in. He's praising the guy who came over and took over the writing and directing chairs. This whole thing is basically a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and it's smelly.
Yeah. What do you think about where they are right now and where it's probably going?
You know, setting aside rumors about how Justice League is going, whether or not Ben Affleck is going to remain on as Batman for more than just one more movie, I would say from where we're at with Wonder Woman, we're good. That movie was great, spot on. In Batman vs. Superman, you know, a lot of people gave it a lot of shit. I gave it a lot of shit. I'll still give it a lot of shit. The villains were crap, but they didn't do a terrible job with it. Now, I haven't seen the extended cut that supposedly adds like 40 minutes of extra features and coolness, you know. But I have a hard time believing that someone who did such a fantastic and phenomenal job with the first Avengers movie, Joss Whedon, came in to the DC universe and fucked it up. So if they're coming out of screening rooms and saying it's unwatchable, it has to have been what happened before he got there. And even then, I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't put together a Justice League movie and fucking nail it. I mean, as much as it sucks to say this, DCEU is coming in late in the game. Marvel wrote the process. They have a just standard, this is what you got to do to make a hit with a superhero movie. Follow this formula. And all DC has to do is go, we'll follow this formula. And they're going to kick ass. Simply because it's Batman. Simply because it's Superman. They could bring in... They could pull a Marvel. We could see Guardians of the Galaxy, DC style. We could see superheroes come out from the extended universe. And as long as it's DC, people are going to see the movie. The movie could be garbage. They're still going to make record sales.
I think that they have easily the two most bankable comic book characters in history.
Oh, yeah.
Batman and Superman. The reality is they're bigger than anything that Marvel has. And they've proven it. I mean, before Iron Man ever came out, they had made billions off of those two characters.
Yes.
And even when they weren't done well, they made money on characters. I mean, the Adam West Batman is still making money. They have the two most bankable stars, and all they have to do is put something decent out. The two most bankable stars, and all they have to do is put something decent out. And it doesn't take that much to make a Batman movie that's going to sell it, it's going to make a ton of money.
Right.
I mean, the last two Batman movies with Clooney and Kilmer made a ton of money, and they were horrible.
Yeah.
They were atrocious, and they made a ton of money. So all you've got to do is do it right. And I think the best thing they could have done at this point is get Joss Whedon. He's already crafted basically the first two phases of Marvel.
Right.
And even though he stepped away from Marvel, it was the smart move to go to him and say, look, we kind of want that. They should have wanted it from the beginning.
Right.
But they were smart to go ahead and get this guy who's already got experience doing what they're wanting to do. He's already done the mashup. He's already done the story crafting to make sure all these things come in from different angles to this one point, like in the Avengers.
Right.
And has this kick-ass thing happen and does it right. The best thing they could have done was go get him. And I think that if he sticks around for more than a couple of movies, he's supposed to be doing a Batgirl movie, which I'm not going to lie, I have absolutely no interest in seeing. I'm going to go see it because it's going to come out. I'm going to go see it because it's a DC movie and it's a comic book movie, and I'm curious. I don't have a need for the movie.
The only way I'll be happy with a Batgirl movie is if it is pretty much entirely The Killing Joke in live action form.
But we'll have to see. Well, The Killing Joke didn't do very well. I don't know if it was the story that people didn't like or
it was
just the way it was done.
Unbelievably graphic.
I still haven't seen The Killing Joke yet, but a lot of people were kind of disappointed by it.
Oh, yeah.
And these weren't just like people who are casual comic book movie fans. I mean, these were like comic book guys that are like, meh, it just really wasn't that great.
Yeah.
There were aspects of it that were cool, but it just wasn't that great. But I think by getting Joss Whedon, you've established that you want to craft your story and push it along at a certain pace to where everything feels natural. And he's already done that with the Avengers and all the stuff in Marvel he's been involved with already. It was a good thing to do to go get him. The question is everything else that's surrounding it. Does Ben Affleck stay or go? Nobody knows.
Nobody does.
I mean, he said in one interview he wants to stay. His brother said he wants out. He said at times that he's frustrated and all this, and you never know if that's
a breaking
if that's
point.
Press speak from actors saying that I want to get out. His contract does not say that he wants to be around for a long time. You hear rumors that they're actually going to use like a flashpoint thing to try to get rid of Ben Affleck and bring in somebody else.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, DC is kind of in the midst of what are they doing with Joker? Now they want to have 19 different incarnations of Joker at the same time. Because we've got Jared Leto's Joker, and then they want to make this... Now look, don't get me wrong. When you say Martin Scorsese's making a movie, I'm all about it.
Oh, yeah.
And so they said, Martin Scorsese's making a movie, and my ears perked up, and I said, really? And they said, it's about the Joker, and I was like, Joker? And then they say it's going to be an origin story.
Oh.
Which worries me on a lot of levels.
And then they say it's not going to have Jared Leto in it, and everybody's like, why?
Here's what I don't like. Now, in comic books, you can have several different storylines going at one time in different books. And that seems to work out well at the comic book level. But when you're making movies, I don't think people will necessarily be confused. I think the movie-going public is generally smart enough to say, okay, I'm going to go watch Suicide Squad 2 and I'm going to get Jared Leto's Joker. And then 6 months when this Martin Scorsese thing comes out, I'm going to be getting a different take on Joker. It's going to be origin story. I think the movie-going people are not going to get confused.
Right.
I'm just pretty sure that one is going to be way better than the other.
Yes.
And it's going to seriously hurt the other one.
Oh.
Because Scorsese doing anything sounds awesome, but a superhero movie is not something I don't think he's ever done. I don't think superhero movies are anything that's usually in Scorsese's wheelhouse. Now, I heard earlier that it's supposed to be in the vein of like a Taxi Driver. Something dark, gritty. It's supposed to be set in the 80s. It's supposed to be like an Elseworld style thing.
It's gonna be an origin story in the sense that we're not gonna see him become the Joker until literally the last scene of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know that
that is how Scorsese is gonna do this.
I don't know that I want that. The best thing about Joker is that he has no backstory.
Absolutely.
He is evil for the sake of evil. You know, I think one of the coolest things that came out of the Batman stuff that Nolan did with Heath Ledger is he gives those 3 different stories as to how he became what he is.
Right.
So you don't know what his background is. I mean, so you're thinking at first that he's giving you a little bit of background. You're like, oh, that kind of takes away from the Joker. And then 5 minutes later, he tells you a different story. And then later on in the movie, he tells you a third one.
Like,
and then you're right back to, Jesus Christ, this guy's just nuts. And that's the way the Joker should be. He is just the physical manifestation of evil and terror and hatred and everything bad. And that's what makes the Joker so amazing.
Right.
If you give him a backstory, you take away from that a lot.
Right. And even in the Nolan movies, when they actually catch him and he is in jail, they are like, we've got nothing. Fingerprints, DNA, facial scans, nothing. He didn't have any identification on him. All he had in his pockets was knives and lint. And that's the only way that you go further than that with a Joker is if you do something where it's not actually the Joker. Like, what was that? There was a 90s cartoon where the Joker had been dead for years. And before he died, he like implanted something in Dick Grayson. And Dick Grayson basically changed his personal appearance to look exactly like the Joker did so he could come back and fuck with Batman.
I think in Batman Beyond there was a storyline like that. Yeah, it was Return of the Joker.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
The guy that used to be Robin had grown up and moved on and whatnot, and then
became Joker.
Yeah, he had become
and he
Joker
looked
somehow.
exactly like the Joker from, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
crazy, and and I'm pretty sure it was Dick Grayson that.
I think it was.
That. And it was all have to do with some kind of crap that he had on his neck. But even past that, when I'm looking at the DCEU, when I'm looking at this, the only way that you're going to take and make an origin story is that basically how they're doing it. It's not actually tied to the universe. Because if you're going to make an origin story for the Joker, it's got to be its own series, its own movie, and then it's got to end. And then it has to not be canon. It just has to be, this was for fun, I'm
okay doing something for fun.
But not right now.
Yeah. Because one of the things I really want to see Marvel do is Marvel Zombies.
Oh, man.
I'm not big on the zombie genre.
I hope we see that next.
I don't watch Walking Dead because I think zombies are really played out. But I think Marvel Zombies would be a fun movie to see. Do I want to see it right now? Absolutely not. No. I would like them to bring like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans back for like a one-off after everything's said and done with the Infinity War and all that, and just for have one fun movie where all the guys are zombies. But I don't want to see it right now. I don't want to see this movie right now.
No.
I want you guys to build what you're building in your shared universe and concentrate on that. Because if you're going to distract yourself with this 80s version, Elseworld, whatever, Joker by Scorsese, you're going to end up pulling away from the money-making franchise that you've been promising everybody for 3 movies now and not really delivering.
Right.
I mean, because the first Superman, The Man of Steel wasn't a bad movie. I don't like it as much as some people, but it wasn't a bad movie. They didn't commit to it, was my problem. They didn't commit to that being the start of the DCEU.
Right.
They didn't commit to that until after the movie had come out. The Batman vs. Superman was okay. Wasn't great.
Right.
It was a decent movie. Wasn't great. Suicide Squad, I don't watch the movie because the more I watch it, the less I like it. I thought it was a fun movie at first. I watched it a second and third time, and the holes in that movie just get so much bigger after you start to analyze it. I just don't watch it anymore because I don't want to end up hating the movie. I wanted that movie to be great. And it really wasn't. I mean, it was a fun movie. It was a fun little romp to have all the bad guys get together and be the anti-heroes, but it wasn't great. You need to put things on the right course. And like I said, getting Joss Whedon is how you do that. Let him direct you. Take some of that Marvel template and go with it. Because I had said at the very beginning, they want to do the mashup first and then do the individual movies, and it seemed like they were doing it just to be the opposite of Marvel. If Marvel's giving you a template that works, take it.
Exactly.
They made the Phase 1 movies and then had the Avengers. Then they're making the Phase 2 and then another mashup, and that worked out great. Why not just do it? You know Batman's going to make money. You know Superman's going to make money. You do a Wonder Woman movie, and then you do the Justice League thing. In Justice League, you can bring in Aquaman or Flash. You can introduce them in that movie. They can go through their adventures in that movie, and then in your Phase 2 of the DCEU, you can do a Flash, an Aquaman, and then a Batman movie.
Right.
And then have another Justice League movie. Or maybe somewhere in there do a proper Superman sequel. Because the direction that they've taken, I don't even know if you can do a straight sequel to Man of Steel now.
No, probably not. A straight sequel no. Because they brought in Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and because of the events that unfold towards the end of that movie, and what it looks like is going to happen in Justice League. And if you haven't figured it out yet, pretty certain that Alfred's talking to Superman. Let's be reasonable here. When he says, he didn't tell me, I had no idea you'd be here, I only hope you're here in time. That he has to be talking to Clark Kent. There's no question in my mind about it. Because they're doing that, they cannot go back and retcon at this point. We're far too deep in the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah. Now I say that knowing damn well they're going to make a straight up sequel to Man of Steel. Because that's what they do, they make money. Alright, moving on. I'm going to talk about some September releases. The last several weeks have been not good. Box office wise.
No.
There's been some crap movies. Last week was the worst box office weekend in 16 years. The top 12 movies combined didn't do $50 million.
Jesus.
Which is really surprising because you've got two big bankable stars in Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson in The Hitman's Bodyguard. And that movie failed to bring in a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, the marketing for it was the same as it is for every other movie. The trailers were fun to watch. I still haven't seen the movie yet because I have a life. And, but the fact that those two stars could get to number one is not a shock. The fact that they could do it on $10 million is horrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible. And every movie after that, I don't have the stuff in front of me, but every movie after that just didn't do well. And a lot of them were movies that weren't expected to do great, but you figure they were still going to make some money, and they just didn't.
Right.
Now, that said, we have some pretty big movies coming up. September 8th, of course, we have It. Now, the first week of September was nothing. It was a lot of crap.
Yeah.
Sorry if you made any of these movies, but let's face it, you didn't put out blockbusters the first week of September. September 8th, we've got It coming out. It's gonna hit huge.
Oh, I know it is.
It's going to be huge.
It's already gathered a following that's unbelievable.
I think it's probably going to break out a record or come close for its release date.
Yeah, it's gonna destroy the original one, I think.
Oh yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. The original 2-part was the pinnacle of horror films, I think.
For me, it was a TV movie too.
Right, and for it being as good as it was the pinnacle of Stephen King. That when people say Stephen King movies, you got two options to pull from that are like the start of it. And Shining, while I love Jack Nicholson, Shining wasn't great. The original Shining wasn't great because it didn't follow Dick for the storyline. Like the book was insanely crazy. You had almost no story. And the whole movie was basically Jack Nicholson running through this giant hotel with an axe screaming, "Here's Johnny! All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." And it was terrifying, and it was great for that aspect, but it wasn't a great film by itself. And then you have It. You've got the 2 parts of It, and it was phenomenal. And now we're seeing these trailers for this new take on how the clown looks, Pennywise, and I haven't seen anything at all for the second part. Everything that I've looked at so far has only been for the first part when they're kids, and I can already tell that this is going to take off so hard, it's going to blow the original out of the water. It's going to be the new pinnacle of horror movies.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to give me nightmares like it did when I was 9 years old.
Yeah, the trailers for this movie can be terrifying.
Yeah,
and it's really, and I'm really glad to see it because I really love like the 70s and 80s horror. In 90s, when every horror movie became Scream, it was really disappointing because it's a lot of it really did become predictable, and it was a lot of the stuff that made some 70s and 80s horror movies not likable was don't go upstairs, pretty girl. It was so one-dimensional in the 90s. Well, that stuff sucked. And it sucked because you had guys like Wes Craven that were involved in these things.
Yeah.
The guys that crafted the 70s and 80s horror, they gave us Scream. And I'm like, really?
Well, they even made fun of it in Scream. In every single one of the Scream movies, there was the one kid with the curly hair who was the 70s and 80s and 90s horror film movie buff who was like, this is what you do to survive a horror film. And then the horror film starts happening and he's like, well, I'm never having sex. I swear to God. And, you know, he helps them through it. And they played on that. That's why I can't watch Scream with a straight face anymore. Because I watch it, it's like, this isn't a horror movie, it's a fucking comedy.
That movie is far more comedy than horror. There's maybe 2 jump scares in like all 9 of those 9 of those movies that they made.
Yeah.
And there's much more comedy and laughs.
Oh,
and that was really disappointing. But that's what the 90s gave us. It gave us really watered down, crappy horror movies. Stuff that they wanted to be able to make PG-13. Make an R-rated horror movie.
Yes.
Show people's balls getting cut off.
I think we're bridging into X-rated.
show the gore. Show the horribleness. Give me good story, jump scares, make me dread walking into the theater. That's what I want from a horror movie. This movie's giving it to me.
Oh yeah.
And the guy that they got to play Pennywise, dude, when he like does this thing where he's like looking like he's facing down and looking at the camera, it's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
That's what I want to see. Now, I love Tim Curry.
Oh yeah.
And his version of Pennywise was fantastic for the TV miniseries that they made for that little 2-parter. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be the kind of horror movie that Stephen King movies should be.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to be fantastic.
I am not looking forward to seeing it.
I'm looking forward to walking out of there feeling like
I can't sleep for 5 days.
Yes, I look forward to walking out of the theater that day, kind of looking over my shoulder to make sure there isn't a clown like somewhere right behind me, wanting with a red balloon, wanting to know if I want to float.
I'm looking forward to carrying a shotgun with rock salt in it for 5 days.
Yeah, really. American Assassin comes out. Michael Keaton, dude, his career is just booming again.
Oh, and it's phenomenal too how we went from years of not seeing anything with Michael Keaton, or where we did see him, it was a small bit, and then we see this reboot of RoboCop, and that really pulls him back into the fray, and from there he's just gaining momentum more and more with every movie that he's getting into. We're seeing Michael Keaton come back as hard as we saw Robert Downey Jr. come back.
But yeah, this guy, his last 3 or 4 movies have been amazing. Spotlight is an amazing movie. I don't know if you've seen that one. I know the movie's getting a little older now, but I mean, that is Michael Keaton's best shit right there. And American Assassin now, it looks amazing. I don't know too much about the younger guys in the movie with him. I know he's been in a couple of things, smaller things. And I think he's done a lot more independent stuff, but he looks really badass. I mean, this whole movie looks really cool, and I'm really eager to see what he does with that. We got Kingsman coming out, which we're going to talk about. Lego Ninjago. The Lego movies make a ton of money no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Ninjago is something that people have wanted for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about them bringing... leave it to the TV. There's a TV series that this is based off of, and I know that a lot of the film sites and everything are like, oh, this movie is based off of a toy. Well, yes, but no. This series has its own running storyline that's been played out for like at least 5 seasons, I think, and it's on either Nick or Cartoon Network. I don't remember which, but they've done so much with it already, and then now they're just like, all right, we're gonna do a movie. Just stop. You want to do another Lego movie? Do another Lego movie. That's it. I don't want to see 9 Lego Batmans. I don't want to see... However, Lego Batman was pretty hilarious. But I don't want to see another Lego Batman. I don't want to see all these things just being turned into Lego. Lego Avengers, Lego Star Wars. We've got it in video games. That's all the more we really need it, is in video games.
The Lego movies, to me, I don't have a problem with them. And I know that we talked earlier about, having these different incarnations of the characters being kind of confusing and you kind of spread things a little thin. Nobody's going to, nobody went into Lego Batman thinking it was going to be canon with the DCEU.
Right.
It's a fun thing that it's way more kid-friendly. And I think that's the big draw, is you may not want to take your kid to go see, your 9 or 10-year-old son to go see Justice League, because what they're doing in the movies is definitely darker, grittier, way more adult-oriented, a bit tougher mentally, that kind of thing. Maybe you don't want to take a kid to see those movies.
Right.
You can take your kid to go see Lego Batman and just have fun with it. It's the campier version. It's the 60s Batman version of fun, and it's goofy and clownish, and adults can go laugh at it, because I haven't seen any of the Lego movies. But I know these movies, they drop in those little jokes that only adults get, and with a little wink and a nudge. The kids are like, oh yeah, something funny happened because Dad's laughing, without knowing what the joke is. Right. But the rest of it is mostly kid-friendly. Ninjago is the same thing. I'm not a big Ninjago fan, so I honestly don't know anything about the story. But it doesn't have to make a $200 million opening weekend to be profitable. I mean, these movies make what? I mean, they're made for what? Bus fare? I mean, they make these movies for, I don't know how much it is, but I mean, what, $50 million maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all CGI. Nothing's hand-drawn anymore, so I can't imagine that it's too...
And the CGI stuff is...
Probably... Don't get me wrong. You guys are working really hard to make this happen, so don't take my criticism the wrong way, but you're not doing what they did 20 years ago. If you were trying to make a Lego movie 20 years ago, it'd be garbage. Because you don't have the resources. But
yeah, I mean, these things are going to make money. A $50 million budget, the movie's going to total, its entire run in the theater is going to do $250, and that's great. I mean, that's a huge profit margin.
Right.
If I can make a movie for $50 million and profit $200 million off it, I'm good to go.
Right.
That funds the next 3 or 4 Lego movies. And next is
are each going to also make.
Next is going to be they're going to do another Lego Star Wars. You're going to do a Lego whatever. They're going to do a Lego this, that, and the other thing. But, I mean, they work, so, bring them on. Another movie coming out is Battle of the Sexes, about the big tennis match between Billie Jean King and guy's name, I forget his name, he's a hustler. He was a tennis hustler, former tennis champ.
I know who you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That movie looks pretty fun. It's got Steve Carell, who, he's come a long way from the days of Anchorman. Loud noises! He's come a long way from that. He's actually a really good actor.
Yeah.
Watch Foxcatcher.
Foxcatcher.
It's about John DuPont and the whole Foxcatcher wrestling team, where he kind of loses his shit for a minute and shoots one of the guys in the driveway and kills him. It's a true story, absolutely true story. There's actually a 30 for 30 on this on ESPN. I know you're not a big sports guy, but it's a very interesting story. He actually plays John DuPont in the movie, and that was a great movie. So he does this dramatic stuff very, very well.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a great movie for him. An American-made, Tom Cruise covered in cocaine.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to see that?
So I was watching another site the other day. They were saying it's going to be like his version of Blow, and I love the movie Blow.
Oh,
I think that's one of Johnny Depp's best films.
Absolutely.
I don't think that movie gets nearly the credit that it should. Even though a lot of people who are Depp fans and movie fans like it, just the general casual fans kind of don't get the movie. That movie is absolutely brilliant.
It is.
I think it's amazing. The one I'm really looking forward to though is this movie 9/11, and Jesus Christ, you look at this cast list. It's got Whoopi Goldberg. Juan Guzman, who was one of my favorite good actors. Probably because I'm Mexican, but I mean, maybe I'm biased, but I love this guy in every movie I've seen.
He's one of those actors that can do both serious and comedy. And sometimes he can do comedy in serious. Now, as far as this movie's concerned, I really hope that that's not the case, that he's going to bring comedy into the seriousness, because it's not the place for it. But, I mean, The Last Stand with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was a mildly serious movie, and he brought a pretty gratuitous amount of hilarity to it by playing a serious role.
But just a pure action movie can have comedy.
Right.
Because the subject matter is fake, it's made up.
Right.
When you come to 9/11, you got to be a little more touchy than that. So,
exactly.
So maybe a little joke in the beginning of the movie before the shit all hits the fan is one thing, but once everything happens, it's going to be different. But I mean, you got Gina Gershon, Charlie Sheen. Look, for all of his nuttiness, for all of his Tiger Blood and Adonis DNA, for all of his whatever, the guy can act.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even when he went off the deep end and was shooting those videos, but fucking crazy. We've all been there. We've all had our fair share of coke-filled hallucinations. But at some point, you come back to reality, and I think he came back to reality pretty well. It's sad.
He looks like he fits this role very well.
Oh yes, definitely.
He's playing some businessman who is working at the trade center. Him and his, if you watch the trailer, I guess the girl he just broke up with, and Juan Guzman and some other people are getting trapped in this elevator when the planes hit, and Whoopi Goldberg, who's in the film, plays I'm guessing some kind of a maintenance tech who is on the ground, monitoring
like building
elevators,
manager or
something along
like
those lines. Dude, there's a whole lot of star power in this movie. It's a topic that is still very touchy. But if you can do it right, you can tell great stories. Because the World Trade Center movie that came out with Nicolas Cage several years ago, I thought it was a really good movie.
What was it? Ladder 11.
Maybe that was one of them too. They've actually come out with a few.
Yeah.
But the Flight 93 movie came out about the flight that crashed in Pennsylvania and all that. If you can tell the stories accurately and sensitively enough, it's not too soon to tell the story.
Right.
But if you, like I said, guys like Juan Guzman, you can bring comedy. You can have the comedy in the first few minutes of the movie,
and that's
little jabs at your coworker. But once that incident starts, you've got to be really careful about how you approach it. And it looks to me in the trailer like they've done the right thing with this film.
Yeah.
That it's going to tell the story of these people. Now, I don't know if this is based on an actual event and actual people. I'm sure they're going to change names. I'm sure it's going to be dramatized a little bit for creative purposes. But if you can tell the story the right way, I think it's going to be a very good movie to watch.
Right.
So, what do you got coming out soon that you think you're going to like?
Well, I think the most anticipated, aside from it, of September.
So
yeah, September. The most anticipated of September, I think, is going to be Kingsman: The Golden Circle. This is a sequel. Nobody was really sure that was going to happen when the first movie came out, and they made so many alliterations to this isn't James Bond. This isn't James Bond. This isn't James Bond. We thought, it's going to be a one-off. And then from the get-go, I was like, I want to see another one of these. And now we've had trailers come out. Stuff's happening. It looks great. It's not a whole lot of information as far as story goes in the trailers. We know that somebody's attacking the Kingsmen, and we know that they team up with the Statesmen, which are basically the American version of the Kingsmen. All their stuff is... How do I put this?
Wild West inspired.
Well, Wild West inspired. It's so American stereotyped, it's hilarious. The grenade's a baseball. The dude swings a bat, pop the fucking grenade, throws it to the other guy, he hits it with a baseball bat, and it goes where he wants it to go and blows up. I mean, it's so stereotypical, it's hilarious. Whiskey, a bullwhip? Are you serious? So, I'm excited because the first movie... They went with the spy movie, and then they were like, they tried so hard to make it a not James Bond movie, and they made it a not James Bond movie. If they hadn't mentioned James Bond-esque stuff in the movie at all, the movie would have still been 100%. And now we're seeing them come in again, and they're just like, let's see how far we can push it by putting in the Statesman. And then I think it looks great, even with all the stereotypes that are just going to make it like you go and see this movie and you're like, wow, that's funny. It's comedy that's covered up by the action. Like it's comedy without being comedy. Like we were talking about earlier with the Lego thing. You know, they're throwing in hints of stuff that only adults are going to get. Well, that's kind of like what we're doing here, except for on an adult scale. We're throwing in hints that people are going to look at and go, wow, did they really just do that? But it's not going to detract from the story at all. And then the biggest thing about this is Harry coming back, missing an eye. Like, you got shot at point blank range in the eye socket. If they don't, when they see him the first time come on stage, and they're like, Harry, I can't believe you're alive, and they don't immediately go, well, this is how I survived, I'm gonna be like, bullshit.
I don't think there's any explanation you can give to how he came back. It's not going to sound kind of ridiculous.
It's gonna. Well, the whole movie is ridiculous, but you're right.
But you suspend belief for a minute because you know it's a movie. You know it's fake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I honestly think it would be better if they just didn't explain it. Because I think bringing him back, you're already kind of like, nah. I mean, because Marvel gets all the hell for none of their main characters actually dying, except for Quicksilver, the one that they can actually get rid of and not hurt very much. They went ahead and killed him, but I don't think there's any way you can explain away his still being alive and have it sound plausible and not have people kind of go, really? And when people are, when you got a theater full of people that just kind of look at you like, come on, dude, you're going to take him out of the movie just for a moment. So that's why I think your best bet is just don't explain it at all.
Well,
just say, "Oh yeah, I had to fake my death because child support's after me." that would be a plausible explanation where I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, just move on with the story." So I mean, I think the best thing they could do is bring him back like in the first 5 minutes of the movie, give your shitty explanations for how he didn't die, and then move forward and just take us away from it. Because when you try to explain it, it's going to take me out of the movie for a minute. Yeah. It's going to take the viewer out of the movie. And if you do it at a key time, like as you're starting to build your story, it's going to hurt.
Unless it goes with the story. I mean,
it very well could.
It looked like he was, and I can't confirm this, but it looked like he was in the presence of the Statesman this whole time. So maybe he was a double agent or undercover or whatever.
He did get killed in America.
Right. So. But here's the other part about it, though.
Spoiler
is
alert.
That they're trying to build on these cliches to tear them down to make their own movie. And if they're doing a mashup where we're gonna see more than just Eggsby be the main character, we're gonna have several people as main characters now. I think they're gonna take it in the direction of Avengers. And then they're going to make fun of the fact that nobody ever dies by bringing Harry back. That would be icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned. But, I mean, everything they do in it is just a wink. And at some point, it gets annoying to see 1,000 winks at the audience. But that first time when Samuel L. Jackson...
That's the point of the movie, though.
Right. That first time that Samuel L. Jackson has that chick wheel out the food, and she's like... pulls up everything and it's fucking McDonald's Big Macs and stuff. I just had to go, perfect. You couldn't have done this better.
If that's the point of the movie, is the wink and nods and the funny little jabs, then whatever. And these movies, and the first one was full of them. This one's I'm sure going to have its share.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure whatever third movie they come up with is going to have its share as well. But like I said, I just don't want to be taken out by some crappy explanations as to how he lived. But you raised an interesting point. He did die in America.
Yeah.
He died in like Arkansas or wherever is where he died.
It doesn't say that it was that Baptist church that I'm not going to say the name of, but it was that Baptist church that I'm not going to say the name of.
Let's be honest. I'll say it. Fuck Westboro Baptist Church. I don't care if you guys are watching.
Yeah.
Come boycott my house.
Pretty much.
You can get some. Anyway.
Pretty fucking
But, yeah, I just don't want to be taken out by the explanation. I already know I'm going to like this movie. Yeah. I already know I'm going to like whatever third one they come out with, which I'm sure is going to come out in a couple of years. If you're going to make a second one, you may as well make a trilogy. Just make a ridiculous spy trilogy. Because this movie's fun.
It'd be even funnier if they brought somebody else in to play Eggsby's character and then just like, you look different. And just completely fuck with the whole thing. Not to say that I don't like the actor because he did an amazing job and he's going to do an amazing job in this one too. But just for the theme of it's not James Bond would be fucking hilarious to see that.
Well, you have to make 75 more Kingsman films for that to really hit.
Right.
Maybe you can get Sean Connery to come back and play the older Eggsy.
Pull out of retirement. That'd be great.
A 97-year-old Sean Connery walking on stage. One I forgot to mention earlier was Flatliners. For those of you that are 80s kids like me, I don't know if you ever saw the original Flatliners.
No, I didn't.
That was the movie, like Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon. There was some
maybe
other
I did see
in the
this.
movie. Yeah, that was one of the movies that launched their careers. I mean, because Kevin Bacon, it was after Footloose. So, I mean, Kevin Bacon was already known, and Kiefer Sutherland was already making a name. Julia Roberts, I think, was near the beginning of her career.
So it was right around Aaron Brockovich?
No, it was way before that.
Really?
This was like late 80s.
Oh.
Or mid-late 80s. But it was a very suspenseful psychological thing in that movie. This remake, I've heard, is supposed to be a remake / sequel kind of thing.
Ooh.
That it actually, from what
so it's like Blade Runner 2025.
Something similar. What they're doing in this newer film actually builds off what the characters in the first film did. I don't know how it goes exactly, but maybe they found their research and are trying it all over again or whatever.
So it's not, they're not bringing back cameos?
Kiefer Sutherland is actually in this movie.
Ooh.
I don't know yet if he plays his role from the original film,
or if he's
just playing whatever. But that fuels a lot of speculation. I'm interested because, like I said, the first movie was very suspenseful, very cerebral, crazy stuff going on.
Wait a second. Is this a thriller?
Yeah.
This is so we're talking about the one where they like died for a couple seconds and then brought them back. I have seen that movie.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's the reboot, remake, revision
like they brought in
sequel.
somehow brought the devil to our world. Or
however it worked.
Oh my god!
But yeah, it's the original '80s one was fantastic, and this one's got another one of my celebrity crushes. It's got Ellen Page. It's also got it's got Diego Luna's in it, the guy from Rogue One.
Oh, who played?
It's got some good young actors in this too. So I think this movie sounds pretty interesting. I'm probably gonna go see it.
I mean, I don't see Kiefer Sutherland. Didn't he die? So
I don't recall.
It's been so long, but I mean, if they're gonna bring him back,
he can come back, so can he, right?
Yeah. If they're gonna bring him back, he has to play he has to be the consultant, like Final Destination. We're doing this. Let's go find this guy to talk to him, and he's gonna be like, "Shut up! Don't do it.
Don't do it. You're gonna end up in a weird mirror
dimension
like me."
The devil told me he wants you to try it.
Yeah.
Don't listen to him.
Don't listen to him. He's the devil, Dan. He's the devil. But that's our show for today. Feel free to go to the comment section. Let us know what you think about any of the topics we discussed today. Smash that like button. Share us around to your friends if you think we got some good stuff. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.